All right. Hello, Diana. So good to
Hey,
see you.
Michelle. So nice to see you.
I know it's been a bit. And recently you took a nice little break, including some digital time away, which I love and I want to hear about. Um, but for those of you who are tuning in with us, we'll do a brief introduction of Diana and myself, and then we just wanted to share some observations that we both share as it relates to the work that we do. So go ahead, Diana, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Diana Lapp. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I'm the owner of Inner Strength Counseling Services. I'm located in the state of New Jersey, and I offer outdoor therapy, walk and talk, nature therapy, where we do traditional therapy outside in parks and hiking trails, and we incorporate mindfulness. I work with adults 18 and older, especially women who are struggling with self-doubt, anxieties, overworking themselves, overachievers, you name it. I am basically there to help you navigate all those life challenges. And I'm super excited to be doing this with Michelle. So let me hear about you.
Yeah, and it's so fun because we have so much similarity. I too am a licensed clinical social worker, have a passion and appreciation for the power of nature as it relates to our own healing and mental well-being, which is how you and I connected. Um, so I'm a clinical, I do clinical counseling, mental health counseling, and I also do workplace wellness consulting and nonprofit consulting and wellness coaching and career and professional coaching. And as I've been trying to put myself out there and make connections in the digital world, I found Diana, and reached out to her and said, "Hey, we seem to have some similarities. Let's get together." So you and I have been probably connected virtually. We've never had the opportunity to meet in person yet. But it's probably going on a year, I think.
Yeah.
The spring of 25, I think we actually connected. So it has been so cool, and we treasure one another that we get together every month and have just a virtual meeting, catch up, exchange resources. Being small business owners, it's been so fun for you to teach me some things. I've been able to offer some in-kind services for you through a student that I'm mentoring, and it's just been fun to just follow one another's path, support each other digitally as well as in our monthly meetings. And so you took a break recently, and were very public about the fact that you were not going to be available digitally because you were prioritizing your well-being. And this often becomes a subject of the people that I'm working with, of realizing how their time on their social media and their phones is impacting them in their mental health. And so they look at ways to kind of put some parameters around that. So tell us a little bit about how you decided, I'm making this commitment to myself, maybe some challenges that you may have had around that. And then also, any feedback you've gotten from people about the fact that you did that.
Yeah, sure. And before I get into it, I just want to say thank you. I do honor and love our conversations monthly just to get to know each other and really explore and support. And that's where I think leans into that digital connection of, oh, like we connect digitally, so many people do, but that disconnect is so important because we're always on our phone. Check, 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 check. But when we do that and take that break, it allows us to intentionally, lean into things that are important to us, or reflect and take time to be like, what changes do I have to make or want to have in the upcoming year? What changes do I want to make overall? And adding that more often allows me to have a really good reset. And I notice from other people, it's good to role model that. And so by publicly saying that, like, hey, I'm a therapist, these are tools we say in therapy, but also if you've never been in therapy, it's like saying like, wow, this is like real. Making, I'm not like this robot that just doesn't have to be able to disconnect. Like, no, like we have to as well, disconnecting from our friends and family sometime, or if we haven't seen people for a long time. So when I was traveling, that's who I was seeing a really my best friend for a really long time. And so I just connect and I give her my undivided present attention. And that's important. That's how we cultivate and nurture relationships. The world is so disconnected with technology or from in-person connections. Like when we do that, we can make those relationships stronger. So I feel that's a good way to role model that to others. Also, when people like looking at and ask me like, what did you do? And like, you know, I don't mind sharing like, oh, I went to Florida, we went on a boat trip, I, you know, just lived life and relaxed and went to a, you know, a spa, like just average things that everyone does. And it's just figuring out like what do we each need to add some calm and peace to our life, especially like the world is so chaotic all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And what, you know, really strikes me is that you made an intentional decision to do that based on what's important to you. You know, you talked about being present and engaged and really nurturing the relationship that you have with your best friend. So that tells me, when you think about your priorities or your values, that connection, family, friendship, like those things are important to you, and making an aligned decision around how do I convey that to my best friend, that my time with her is so important that I'm going to be intentional to keep that phone out. The other thing I love, you know, you talked about these activities, the experiences and creating memories. Before we hopped on, you said that when it comes to your best friend's kids, that you've made an intentional decision to invest in experiences with them versus gifts. And a lot of times what ends up happening, and you see this all the time, people aren't enjoying in the moment. You go to a concert or whatever, and people are on their phones recording what's happening instead of just being present and enjoying what is happening. And so for you to say, like, we did these things, but you weren't creating a time capsule by recording the whole time. You know, it was in the moment and truly being engaged. Because even if you're recording, you're not present and engaged with the people that you're with, because you're so focused on whatever you're recording.
Yeah, so true. And like, you know, 100% doing that. By being present, I was able to, we got to see like 3 dolphins, but there was like a pair of dolphins. You know, the first one I recorded, and after that, I was like done. And I was like looking and really pinpointing, like you had to really hyper focus and find the dolphins and look for the little ripples and bubbles in the water and stuff like that. And then we have these 2 that were so close around the boat. And it was like, I was like, maybe I should take out my camera. I'm like, no, like you can remember this. You don't need to take a video of this. Just be present. And like, then I glance at their faces. Like, it's just right. Soaked it all in. At the end, it's like, well, how'd you like it? This was the best day. Like stuff like that. That's memorable. Right. And I think those things too lean into our why, our purpose, our meaning, and things that we want to accomplish. And like you said, leaning into values are super important. And you need really, some top values of myself. And that is what I like to tell clients too, is like, what are your key values? They're going to change in different decades, but we have some baseline values that kind of continue, but utilizing that to help us with our why, right? That choice point of like, what's taking us to the life that we want, or are the things that we're doing pulling us away?
Yeah. Is it aligned in helping us achieve what it is that we want? And I always say it's like an emotional state of peace or calm or whatever you know, fill in the blank. Or is it going to distract us or sabotage our goals and only fuel frustration, disappointment? We were also talking a little bit before we started recording that from both of our experiences in working with people, that they can often trip themselves up with not recognizing how what they are doing, choosing to allocate their time or energy, is aligned in a way that is meaningful to them. It's easy to chalk up not doing something as not being successful. Some people use the word failure. And we had a chance to talk about, you know, ways that we can help guide people in reframing rethinking, shifting that perspective and appreciating and shifting from discrediting themselves to valuing themselves, to moving from shame or guilt into pride, from feeling of failure to success or pride. So do you want to share, real quickly, the woman you were working with and how you helped her see things in a different light that really brought her to a greater place of mastery and confidence and personal agency?
Yeah, definitely. So this person I work with struggles with using the first of the year. Always the change is like, it's the first of the year. I'm going to make my whole planner for the whole year. I'm going to create my journal. These are my goals. And the moment something in life throws a curveball, right, it makes us detour and have to change and pivot. This person jumps to the failure mode. Here I go again, and goes back into time. Back in 2020 blank, I was able to do blank. But today and years ago are different. We may not have the same obstacles or barriers or detours, right? And so we're constantly challenging that negative thought, negative belief. So I asked her in one of the sessions if I can just tell her a story, something personal in my life. So on Christmas, I got this book. I am not an avid reader or consistent reader, and especially for personal, because I do so much for professionalism, right? So I got this book called Just Breathe, Mastering Breathwork by David Brule. And the last chapter talks about the 21-day challenge of breathwork. I was super excited. It's the end of the year. It's slower overall. I'm taking some time off. So I was like, great, banged out the book in 2 days, said, I'm going to do this challenge. December 28th comes around. I start recording myself because I'm like, this would be great. I want to record myself, use it for content, show people what it's like to start something and see what happens. And so 6 days later, I stopped. I got back into the real world of life and responsibilities, and I pivoted and detoured into focusing on my CEUs and other things that are just as important. It's just that I was like, I had the mental capacity from resting to be like, oh, I can bang this out now. Let's put that energy there and pause here. And it is now the 22nd of January, still have not followed through on the 21-day challenge. But those 6 days, I have used those and talked about them in sessions and practicing them. And I said, you know what? I'm going to start whenever I can. So maybe I'll start today. Maybe I'll start tomorrow. And that really connected with her. She was able to be like, wow, like I don't have to put so much pressure, right? These should statements, I should be doing it every single day, but we can be flexible and alter and be like, okay, life said this is important now, but doesn't mean we can't go back. And you had a really cool analogy, Meichle, talking about the freeway, pulling over, to the rest stop or going over to like the detour of taking the back roads. Might take us a little bit longer, but it still takes us to the same destination. Rather just sitting, stuck on the freeway in that back-to-back traffic. Like, why sit there if it's, versus doing a detour and allowing us to really embrace and lean into why the importance of this.
Yeah. And I love that because it comes with such a flair of imperfection and living comfortably, confidently, and also following your intuition and like being in tune with yourself enough to know, like, I have the energy and mental capacity for this, which also has to get done, that I've put that's been a detour that I've taken, attention from, and moving with confidence of being like, okay, I'm not giving up on this thing. It's just, I've gained enough through my 6 days. I'm implementing some of those things. I find value in them, and they've actually helped me be at a place of being able to really jump into my CEUs, and then being able to know I'm going to get back to this other thing. And I think that is so key, because oftentimes things can feel complicated, or we make things complicated for ourselves. It can feel daunting, and it's easy to feel like it's such a big thing. And right, we might have the enthusiasm and the excitement for something, And it's figuring out, how do I create the conditions that is going to support me moving in that direction? And that takes time and experimenting. And it might be that we might realize, you know what, this really isn't that valuable for me. Why would I continue to do it? So like honoring ourselves more and following our intuition and trusting our guts. And like you said, not getting tainted by the shoulds or the expectations of other people, and being really true to ourselves. So I love that. Thanks for sharing that example.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And I think it's important, you know, as we share this with other people, to have that permission to really take a step back and reflect, why am I choosing to say I want to do this? Is it really meaningful to me? Or is it because I see what other people are doing on social media? You know, there's this connotation about the new year, and it's like, just take time to reflect, celebrate what is good, celebrate what you're proud of, celebrate the rhythms that are helping you operate so efficiently, effectively, you know, satisfactorily, and really give yourself, not you, Diana, but anybody that's listening, give yourself credit for all that you do, and you know how we've gotten to where we are and what we do. So
yeah. I totally agree, Michelle. It's, you know, for everyone like who's watching us, is you can start whenever you want. You could start in the same day. You wake up and you maybe were in a funk, and by 2 o'clock, you're like, you know what? I feel you're rejuvenated. I want to try something new, and taking something super small and just doing it. One of the things that I tell people all the time, it's super silly, but it really does help. And this person, I've been working with them, has to be almost close to half a year now. The goal was, you know, to help with depression and help with the change of seasons, and waking up in the morning, just doing 5 push-ups, and then go outside, walk the dog, stand outside a little bit, come back in. Now that person, now it's been like 4 months, told me yesterday, was like, guess what? Now I do this 5-6 days a week, but now I've added, you know, a whole workout in between this, the push-ups increased to like 10, but now it does a 15-minute workup of sit-ups, deadlifts, dead bugs. You know, there's like 4 different exercises person does in 15 minutes and walks the dog. And it's like, wow, I don't get the 3 p.m., 7 p.m. dreads no more, where it's super dark here because it's winter. And right, those small changes like help us to make bigger changes. So I think maybe that's the bigger takeaway, is like, we can lean into what's meaningful to us, our values, our beliefs, our why, but also realizing that the smaller the step, the more successful we can be.
Yeah, small acts of courage consistently. I always say what we focus on expands. So if we're focusing on catching ourselves doing the things that we're proud of, we're going to look more for those things. And that's going to fuel and nurture our positive cognitions and beliefs about ourselves, that mobilizes us way beyond, you know, like that example is perfect. Like, it's not so much the push-ups. It's not so much the physical health. What happened was, and I just made a post about this morning, it tones your mindset, that you realize I'm capable of so much more. And that's what fuels you to habit stack with some of those other things, you know, on top of. And then it's even beyond physical. Next thing you know, she's just like, you know what, I'm going to apply for this job because I realize I'm capable. So I love it. And we could talk forever, but we have talked for like, I don't know, 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes already.
Something like that. It went by super fast.
And that's what, like, I always say that happens in sessions too. I'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe we've talked for this long. And, so as I like to do with every session that I wrap up with, like, what has been of most value to you, Diana, about our conversation today?
I think it's just being authentic in ourselves and having a safe place just to be us, and then show the world who we are.
Same. I always call it our authentic, AWE, authentic selves, because we are awesome. and we need to remind ourselves of that. And I love just open conversations about imperfection and realizing that anybody that might be watching this may take away something. We will never know unless they communicate to us what value they found in it. But knowing that we will expand our influence and impact by us being courageous with this small act of courage of doing our first recording and just putting it there. No edits.
Yes. I realized that's the only way I can post myself as I get over that fear. So just go with it.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Well, thank you for being willing to do something new and exciting. And yeah, we'll see. Maybe we'll do another one of these and keep it going. So we didn't have a goal of like, we're going to do this podcast, right? We just said, you know what, let's just record and see what happens.
Yeah.
Kind of like, let's do some breath work and see what happens, as opposed to making a commitment to using it in some fashion. So
yes, totally agree. I love this. Thank you so much, Meichle, for this
thank
opportunity.
you. Yeah. All right. We will connect next month, Diana.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. All right. I think